All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going through creating a series of video presentations. I did about 9 on HTML, the hypertext markup language, which allows us to add content to a web page. Then I did about 8 of them on CSS, cascading style sheets, which allows us to style the content of our web page. And this is now longer than I thought it would be, about the 11th one on JavaScript. And rather than showing JavaScript the way it's typically used on a web page, and that is to add interactivity, I'm showing you JavaScript as a programming language. And I've created this program that we went over in the last lecture or last video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down into a series of functions. So right now, notice it's in Maine. I'm going to grab, let's see, where I've got while again. All of this should be tabbed over up to here. Tab that over once. And this should be tabbed over, I think, too. Well, let's see. Yep. All right. So function main. This should all be tabbed over. That should be tabbed over. And that. There we go. So right now, this is my main function. This is doing everything in the program. All right, and I'm taking a chance now because I may end up screwing it up, but I'm going to break it down into a series of routines. So we've got here function main while again. I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to cut it to the clipboard, and I'm going to say input name. Okay, now if I ran the program now, it would break because I don't have anything called input name. So I'm going to make that right now. Function input name. And I'm going to put all that code in there. Okay. So hopefully that'll work. Then after that, I'm going to make another function that's going to be called input age. And I'm going to grab all of this code. Probably guess where that's going. And that's going to be inside of my function called input age. All right. So let's see. All right, that looks okay. Then, so you can see how much smaller main is getting here. So now I'm going to grab my height. And that's going to become input height. And I will put that down here. And let me fix that. So that'll be function input height. All right, so now that's done. Oops, let's see. All right, so I'll put that while statement. Like that. And then we'll grab, and we will create, here's a surprise, input weight. Now, what I really should be doing is just doing one of these, copying it over, running the program again to make sure I didn't break anything. So I'm breaking my own rules. All right, I always tell the students to never do what I'm doing right now. So we've got here function input weight. And there's that. All right. So now I want to call calculate BMI. And that'll go down here. All right. And what's left? Well, next we'll call How about calculate BMI status? It'll work. So that'll be the next function that we put in down here. All right, and now I can grab all of that status stuff that was right here. So there's that. That should be a curly brace. I don't know what happened there, but something did. Doesn't like something I've got here. It says declaration or statement expected. Oh, that should be my other. There we go. All right, so that fixed that. And now what's left? Well, as it says here, display user info. So we need yet another function down here. There that is. Let's move this over quite a bit. Whoops. Try that again. All right. And what's left? Well, how about run program again? All right. And I'm going to just grab this part of it right. Now we'll grab all of it. All right, so this was our function, run program again. There's that. Let's move this over. Okay, so we've got that. And what's left? Well, now notice what Maine looks like. It's a while loop, but it's just got a bunch of calls in there. And when we're all done, let's call display totals. All right, so down here we're going to have function display totals. Display totals. Now, for the big reveal, ideally it's going to work exactly the way it did before. So what did I buy from doing this? Well, what I bought from doing this was now Maine, and there's nothing special about the word Maine in JavaScript. In many programming languages, the point of entry into a computer program is Maine. That's why I used Maine here. But Maine here is a driver. And a good driver is kind of like a good supervisor. Years ago, I had a guy I worked for named Larry. He's still a really good friend of mine. This was probably a good 20 years ago, if not more. And Larry was a great guy, and he was always doing stuff, but I always wondered, what is his job? I know he was a supervisor, but really, what is his job? What was he supposed to be doing? Because I didn't know. All right. So then one year, I worked with him for about 5 or 6 years, and probably 3, maybe 4 years in the middle of the semester, Larry had set up that he and his wife were going to go on a cruise for a week, and he'd got permission to take off during the school year. All right. Well, then what happened? All right. Then what ended up happening was during that week, there were a lot of problems. Certain things just plain went wrong. All right. And okay, so these things went wrong. How did we handle them? Well, normally Larry would have handled them. So I started to realize what he did do. So why am I bringing that up? Well, when you look in here, ideally what Maine should do is it shouldn't do a lot of actual executable code. It should call routines. Just like when there was a problem at the place I was working at, Larry would know exactly who to have solve the problem in much the same way. We're talking the same kind of thing right here. All right. So in other words, what Maine should ideally do is Maine should be able to call routines to do the work. And that's exactly what we're talking about doing right here. All right. So let's see if indeed it still works or if I broke it. So save. Let's go back into here. I'm going to make sure that I've got a brand new run in here. All right, so a brand new run. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to come in there, click on the index file, right mouse click, and open it with Live Server. Well, that's a good start. So enter your name. I won't put anything in, no name, and they want us to input. So Jeff, enter our age. Let's put in something that's out of range. Try it again, another thing out of range. Let's try it again with non-numeric. Let's try it again with nothing. And let's try it again with a valid age. Let's do the same thing with a height. So nothing, non-numeric, out of range. Then let's put something that's within range. Same thing with weight, out of range the other way, empty, non-numeric, and here. Well, now we've got a problem. It didn't print out. So let's see if we can figure out why it didn't print out. Calculate, oh, I spelled calculate as calculat. Okay, so that looks like it's on line 59. So let's jump back to line 59. And there it is. Now you saw already, or hopefully you saw, let's make sure I spelled it calculate here as well, that all of my checks worked. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to run the program again. And I'm going to put in Jeff 64, 72, 222. Okay, that all worked. Want to run the program again? Yes. Bob 22, 77, 199. He's optimal. Yes. Mary 33. Whoops, 33. 60. 80 pounds. She should be underweight. All right. Jane. No. Oh, well, I stopped running it, but it did have mine. I was going to do an overweight, but it looks like it works. All right. Now it looks like it's running the program again because I screwed up. But don't worry about that. That's okay. Now, that was a little short, but I am now done, and I'm ready to start building a website. Hopefully, you'll come back for that shortly.